Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador with K80Y TV with Meet the Candidate, and we have the wonderful privilege of having Carmen Rameriz, Pro Tem of the City of Oxnard. And you know, this is almost like a sequel, and so we're going to continue on. So let's just start from the beginning and tell us where this wonderful Carmen Rameriz actually began. So once upon a time, here we go.
You mean you're talking about when I was born?
Yeah, where you were born and where all this actually started. I know it's like in Los Angeles, but
Well,
correct me
actually,
if I'm wrong.
my parents met at a USO dance in World War II in Oklahoma City.
Oh, really?
My father is a sixth or seventh generation Californian, but he was there. Dragooned, that's not the word. He was drafted by the U.S. Army Air Corps back because, you know, we didn't always have an Air Force. We
Sure.
had the Army Air Corps, and he was in it. And so he got to Fort Sill in Oklahoma City. My mother was born in Milwaukee, and she was living in Oklahoma City. They met at a USO dance, and here I am.
And it was love at first sight.
I
Sound
think
like
it was. That's what she told me.
Oh, sound like a movie ready to be
It
made
was.
based on a true story?
Well, my mother thought it was going to be a movie. It was not exactly. It was more like a novella.
Oh my goodness, which is much better.
Not always, but it was. We moved back to California when I was 2, so I have I really don't have any roots there per se. So we grew up. My family we resided in San Gabriel Valley, and that's where I grew up, Pico Rivera. And I went to law school in Los Angeles. At Loyola Law School, and then I came here for a job. I got a job at the legal aid of Ventura County in the Colonia.
In the Colonia, huh?
In 1978, and I've done a few things there, and in the Colonia many years, and that's a place I feel very comfortable with, and love to go there and have a great Mexican meal, meet the people, knock on doors, and but I've worked in the city since 1978.
Did you have to share the spotlight with the brothers and sisters with your this romantic couple that met?
Well, there were 7 of us, so we all had to share. Learn to
7?
share. Yeah. When you're one of 7 children, you better learn to share.
Now let's just test the brain here. So name them in order of.
I have an older brother, Ronaldo Jose.
Okay.
Me, my sister Maria Elena, Rosita Maria, John Francis, named after my father and his father, Ricardo Miguel, Elisa Maria.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably harder to learn than the alphabet.
Well, you know, when I'm calling my sisters, I can't remember who I'm calling. Is it Rosie, Maria, Lisa? So, you know, we have a name for each other. It's just Camaroli. It's like all the first initials, Camaroli. It's really dumb. But that's because my mother, when we call her on the phone, she's up there now.
Okay.
She couldn't recognize which one we were talking, so we used to prank her a little bit.
That happened in your family? Oh my gosh.
I pretend to be one of my sisters, and then they have to, you know, pay the price later.
So you were second oldest, first female, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My goodness. I bet you there was some pretty good experiences living in a family that size. With
Yeah, there was. And you know what? A lot of the lessons learned really come back to pay you when you're older and you're living in a time of where you have to share, you have to communicate. You want to fight, you know, your brothers and sisters, you fight with each other. You argue about things. Now you laugh about it. But back then, you know, you get pretty intense. But you have to learn to share the food, the bathroom, the space, the attention of mom and dad.
Were you the peacemaker, the negotiator, or the enforcer?
I don't know. I think
Or
we all shared those roles intermittently.
My goodness, that's
yeah.
really impressive.
You know, I think when you're in a big family, which people can't afford it now. My father was the one who worked, and he supported all of us. My mother certainly worked every moment she was awake. I never saw her not working, but she didn't make money outside the house. So that was a different time, you know, you could do it on one income. Now people can't do it. You have to have 2 incomes or even 2 jobs. And if you have 2 jobs, sometimes you still can't make the rent. So something I remember very well.
Now, I grew up in San Gabriel Valley in
Did
Pico
you?
Rivera, West Covina.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
So I recall Pico Rivera being a very diverse handling a lot of diversity. So you grew up in an area that had a lot of diversity.
Well, we grew up in a place very much like the Colonia. We didn't have paved streets. It was very rural. People next to us had goats. We at one point had a cow. We definitely had chickens. We had dogs and cats, and we had our little garden plot in the backyard. And I could hear the cows from the dairy. Smell the cows from the dairy.
That's easy to tell.
Not far away.
I can actually smell it in my head.
You
right
can,
now.
yes,
Oh,
yeah. And I always thought, hey, that's a good smell. It's not exhaust, it's not diesel, it's not toxic really. It's the sound of agriculture, the smell of agriculture.
I think the sound of a cow is agriculture
I
too.
love it. I loved it.
So with the Pico Rivera High School, I'm assuming?
I went to El Rancho High School.
Oh, Rancho High School, you know it.
Yeah.
And then, so what did you figure out that you were going to go to Loyola? That's quite an intellectual school. You have to be pretty smart, pretty diverse, have a lot of portfolio
Well, this
to
is
go
the
there.
deal. I was a beneficiary of the civil rights movement.
Okay.
And women, minorities were not really going to graduate schools. But I was in the right place at the right time, thanks to people like Martin Luther King Jr.,
Yes.
thanks to Lyndon Johnson and the war on poverty, to Cesar Chavez, where suddenly there was an opening and I was able to take advantage of that. So I always thought, what kind of career do I want? Women were mostly secretaries, nurses, teachers. Very few were in the professions. Certainly nobody I knew. But I had a dream of being a lawyer because I, as growing up, experienced injustices happening to my family, my neighbors, people I knew. And so every child, I think, has a sense of justice. You know that you didn't get the equal share of that pie. You know what justice is.
So
And you know what injustice is. So where do you go? You got to go to court. You got to defend people, express your rights, know your obligations. I really wanted to do it. And suddenly there was an opening. I got in. I succeeded. I passed the bar. And I've had the career of my dreams for 40 years.
So,
I'm so grateful.
I can see
Yeah.
why. What was your first position or responsibility after throwing that hat up in the air at graduation?
Well, I went to work for the Legal Aid Foundation of Long Beach.
Long Beach.
And I represented, because I was the only Spanish speaker on staff.
Really? That must have been quite a valuable
Long
role.
Beach, lots of Spanish speaking people who needed help. I basically got all of the folks who had an issue who were Spanish speaking. It was kind of overwhelming. But I had some very interesting cases dealing with people's rights. And some very basic things like housing and debts and things, but also rights to children, rights to see your child, rights to defend yourself against fraud, consumer fraud, and getting benefits for people who are disabled or kids who are special kids who needed more assistance. So I did the whole range of things, and I was never bored.
I wouldn't think so. No. But so that was something you did for a while.
I did for 3 years, and then a friend of mine came to work in Colonia, actually the Legal Aid Foundation of Ventura County was in the Colonia, founded by the Ventura County Bar Association in the 60s. And a friend of mine, Robert Guerra, who's a lawyer here in town, said, hey, we have some openings, why don't you apply? And he made me interview. My friend made me interview.
You interview.
And of course I got the job.
Well, of course, he knew that.
So I came to work in Ventura County, and I lived in Ventura for a while, and I would drive to Oxnard every day, and it was such a switch from I was living near, at one point, downtown Los Angeles. To go to law school, I would drive from Highland Park on the LA freeways to Loyola Law School, which was just downtown LA.
Right, near the airport.
And I was there 2 weeks ago. No, not near the airport.
Loyola?
Near downtown LA.
Okay.
The university, Marymount,
Okay,
Loyola Marymount, is
okay.
by the
I stand corrected.
in Westchester.
Okay.
But Loyola is right on Olympic and near Olympic and 9th,
Okay.
and that's where I went to law school.
All right.
And now it is a gorgeous building. The architect was Frank Gehry, and it's beautiful. When I went there, it was not so pretty, but it
But you
was a
dealt
great
with it.
school, great teachers, great classmates. Long time ago.
We went from Pico Rivera to Los Angeles to
Long
Long
Beach.
Beach to-
Then to Oxnard, where I worked. And I was telling someone the other day, my commute from my home in Ventura was down Rose Avenue, and at that point, it was all orchards and strawberries. Then I get to the Colonia, and I was really afraid of driving into the ditch full of water, the irrigation ditches along
Yes,
Rose,
yes.
which aren't really there anymore. And it was such a rural, agricultural area, farm workers, people picking crops, slow driving.
Yeah.
And I'm in LA where, always pushing.
You had the
Here's
horn.
people just, poking along.
And
It's safer.
cows too.
I don't know, we used to have the
Cows.
Chase Dairy, yeah.
Okay.
We had cows.
Can't smell them as bad as they do where you were.
Oh, it lingers.
Now, how did you fit family in all this business? You somehow raised a family, did something like that? I mean,
Well, I don't have any children. I was married.
Oh, you're married?
My husband came with me, of course.
Okay.
And we're still friends, but we're not married
Okay,
anymore.
okay.
Remarried.
Okay.
And he was a lawyer too, and so we're in the law business.
well, I know with 7 sisters, you have a lot of children.
Brothers and sisters.
Brothers and sisters.
I have a lot of nieces and nephews.
So who worship you and really just think you of the world.
I don't know about
So-
that.
Well, I'll get to interview them and find out what the truth is.
I'm a doting aunt, yes.
Okay, I'm not sure what doting means, but in
Means
your
I
mind.
try to pamper them,
Okay.
which their parents can't always do.
Okay, I'll leave this one alone because my mind's going places. But so when did you actually, you've had a passion for being, it sounds almost like a protector, trying to give people an
When
open door?
you're the, I think sometimes there's a lot to be said for your place in the family
Okay.
lineup.
Okay.
And when you're the oldest girl, which I
Female,
was,
yeah.
you have to do some cooking. You got to take care of the kids. You got to change diapers for the babies
Right.
that come along, and I did that.
Okay.
Because it was, about a 14-year span.
Okay.
My mother had a babe in arms, and I was in high school. She came to my graduation with little kids in tow, and you have to do your share.
Mhm.
And I think it's really been great for people to have large families. People can't afford it anymore. It's
No.
not really a good thing to have a lot of kids anymore.
It's hard. Challenge.
But it was good for us.
Yeah. So you took on responsibility early.
And I think that when you're in that situation, you do speak up
Mhm.
for yourself and your siblings. You treat each other. You might treat them rough in the house, but you don't let anybody mess with them. When
That
you're out
seems to
in
be the
public.
rule.
Yeah,
Nobody ever pick on my brother or sister,
that's
but I
right.
have the right to
Yes,
pick on them.
exactly. That's natural.
That's his family,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So this was a natural progression. You go from being a lawyer to entering the public domain.
Well, I worked for as a lawyer. I still am a lawyer. I have my bar card in my wallet if you want to see it. I
believe
pay my
you.
dues.
I believe you, Carmen.
I do
believe
have
you.
clients.
Okay.
I'm not taking too many cases now because city council takes a lot of our time. And there's something I'd like the public to understand,
Please.
that we have part-time counsel here.
Okay.
I'm on council with 4 other people. 3 of them have full-time jobs. They have to be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning or earlier till 3. I have more flexibility. I have more flexible hours. I don't have an office I have to go to.
Right.
So I have more time perhaps than other council members, and I really respect them because we're all working really hard,
Yeah.
and they're fitting it into a schedule with family, job. We got to keep our job because city council is half-time, doesn't pay a huge amount. It's very helpful, and I appreciate it, but your Oxnard City Council works very hard.
No.
Whether you agree with us all the time or not, or individually, people work very hard. We have a lot of committee meetings to go to. Tomorrow I go to Los Angeles for Southern California Association of Governments, where I represent the city. I was elected to the position by other people in the area and other electeds, and I take it seriously.
Mhm.
But if I had to be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning here in Ventura County or Oxnard, I couldn't do it. So people don't maybe understand the complexity. I really want to recommend people get to know what your council does, what we do, what we try to do for you. And whether we agree or not, I totally respect everybody who's on council, and everybody who wants to be on council. I just hope they know what they're getting into.
No, and I want to build on saying the fact that you have let us get to know who you are as a person, I think is a big, huge portion of getting to know who the council is and what they're all about. So I would like to ask just very quickly,
Sure.
what would be some of the top, let's say, 3 things you want to accomplish as a leader of this community of Oxnard?
Well, I think I've already accomplished a lot in my
Okay.
4 years there.
Okay,
And I want to say I've never missed one council meeting.
incredible.
And we generally meet every Tuesday, pretty much every Tuesday in the year except for August.
Right.
We don't meet the 4th Tuesday, but we meet a lot. And there's plenty of committee meetings that we
Right.
go to. So I've worked very hard. One of the things I feel that we've accomplished, and I've been a leader on that, is putting a ban on power plants
Okay.
in our community.
Okay.
We already have 3. Was an effort, might still be continuing to put a 4th, and I think we've had enough of abuse and neglect of our beautiful coast. We have a beautiful coast. No other city would allow this, so we are doing what we need to do to protect our opportunities for tourism, business, housing, proper development on our coast without power generation. Doesn't need to be there. The other thing that I feel very proud about is a retaking of the recycling center, which we call MRF, Materials Recovery Facility. Why? Because we had it with private businesses for many years. We felt we could do a better job, and we're proving that that is true. We've already saved $2.5 million for the residents of this city because we really couldn't get a handle on it while it was under the operating control of a private business. Private businesses can do what they want, but their first obligation is to their shareholders and their employees. Our obligation as a city is to the residents of the city, the business of the city, to make sure we're getting good value for their tax dollar. Very proud of that. And we're providing, I think, education for people about what we throw away. We just can't keep doing it the way we do. Can't keep digging holes and throwing our stuff away. We have to really reuse it the way that we do. You see it in other countries, where literally 2% of what is consumed goes into landfill. We're still about 60%. We need to use that stuff again. It's called resource recovery, not waste. So I feel really good about that. The big overall shadow on our city has been the DA investigation, which began in August of 2010. I don't know exactly when it began, but that's when it came to public light. And we still have a ways to go with reassuring the public that we have a city government free of favoritism, cronyism, waste, and that we're going to be honest with the people about our budget situation. We're going to make good decisions that are free of bias and are for the best interests of the city. So there's so much more I could say. Invite me back.
That's why we'll have a prequel, sequel, all that.
Okay.
Carmen, you leave me speechless. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Too nice.
This is Peter Godinez, your ambassador, KEDY, Carmen Rameriz. Until next time.
Thank you very much.